Zara was ordered to construct for the first caliph of Al-Andalus, Abdurrahman III to the Nasir, 891–961, or Abdurrahman III, as part of the political, economic program and ideological position in Mars after the restoration of the Caliphate. The principal motive of his construction are politicians. The Caliph dignity demands the foundation of a new city symbol of his power, to imitation of other Oriental caliphates, and in addition to show his superiority on his big enemies, Fiqh's Fatimid, in the north zone of the African continent. The name comes from a girl that her name was Azara, that means the flower, who suggested him to construct a beautiful city outside of Córdoba, a city that would take the name of the dear one, and one will turn into the city of the Azara, the city of the orange blossom. But this is a legend, because Zara always means the shining one, word that is related to other that. In this language means Venus, or the same flower. For what simple, it can refer to the new shining of city the Cali.
The origin of the city is not without legendary items. It's known that constructions began in the late 936 of the Christian era. In the 945, on the transfer of the court to this city, which at that time was the Great Mosque. By building this majestic city of Córdoba, Caliph pretended ring and even set Eastern Abbasid caliphs too, and especially the famous city of Samarra. After the civil war brought its destruction, looting and demolition of the palace city continued in later centuries. It was used as a quarry for building artificial other later buildings in the city of Córdoba, gradually falling into oblivion until it disappeared, in an uncertain date, the collective ideology. The city of Zara, or orange blossom version that matches the current political and cultural splendor, leaving the Caliphate of Medina Zahra Palace City, built in the Caliph Abd-al-Rahman III al-Nasir, mainly to make clear the new range of Al-Andalus superiority over their enemies. The ruins of the palace city were inhabited until the early 12th century.
A complicated system of growing was assuring the supply of water and the sanitation of the urban. The same pipelines of lead that were distributing the water to the residents and baths were making it come to the numerous sources to irrigate the gardens. There have remained some of the innumerable spots to the palace. On the other hand, the water was an element of enormous importance in the palaces and gardens, where it was fulfilling a triple function: aesthetics, practice, and symbolic. It was evoking the paradise. In addition, the water was symbolizing the generosity. Medina Zahra presents a rectangular plant of approximately 1,500 meters for 750, with a draining system of sewers and supply of water perfectly plain. It is considered to be the major urban surface constructed of a long time in the Mediterranean. This small sculpture is the spout of a church that might was adorning some of the palatial estates with this city caliphate. His relation with the water and his profuse vegetables decoration. It lacks inscription or any other element that allows to date and to place. Therefore, it raises two doubts: where and when was it realized, and in what concrete place it works and as a spout. His body is hollow and presents an orifice in the paunch of approximately 45 millimeters of diameter that was interfering the water across a pipeline. For the broad mouth of the animal, the liquid was appearing and falling down, provoking a soft rumor. The animal spouts of water are very frequent in the Islamic art, and to them refer the chroniclers who were busy with describing the court cities, the gardens, or the aristocratic palaces.
Medina Zara is divided into three terraces. On each level live different people, depending on their social class. These terraces were separated by walls that divided the city into three parts. The upper classes lived on the highest part. In the middle there was the middle class, and finally on the lowest part lived the lower classes. The north door was the end point of the road called the Nogales. It was the fastest means of communication with the city of Córdoba at that time. The military house was the place where people waited to receive the caliph. There were some important writings for that period, and the place was the office of people such as Sijaf ibn Abd, a master stableman, and General Gali. The Al-Jama Mosque was the main mosque of the city. In it the Caliph led the Friday prayers. It is near the High Garden, but it is outside of the Alcazar area. The mosque is oriented to face toward Mecca. It has a patio and a prayer lounge that is divided into 5 areas and a minaret, the tower from which a person held the other two prayers. The Salon Rico is one of the most famous and important parts of the city. It was built in order to be a symbol of the Caliph's political and religious power. In the Salon Rico, the Caliph's luxurious and elaborate receptions were held, as well as the principal religious festivities. Near the Salon is a garden that further signifies the power of the Caliph. The Caliph's landing were in the central part of the construction, and surrounding him were all his important associates. The Alberca House is on the west side of Jafar House, and Alaken, the son and heir of Abderrahman III, probably lived there. Alaken would eventually succeed his father as Caliph. The house has one floor with a garden centered. The royal house is the highest point of the Alcázar. It was the Caliph's personal residence. From there, he could see the valley of the Guadalquivir and Córdoba's countryside. There was a balcony and some rooms arranged in a parallel form. Jafar House was the residence of Jafar ibn Abdurrahman, Prime Minister in 961 AD. It is divided in three spaces: public, private, and service. The decorative vegetation and the geometries of the zone are remarkable. It has some longitudinal and transversal naves, as well as a patio.
The city and its inhabitants. The city was made of two perfectly hierarchical areas, the Medina and the Alcázar, residence of the caliph and seat of government offices and delegation. The Al-Jama or main mosque served as a common intermediate space. Only about 12% of the Alcázar and the mosque has been excavated. The entire architecture complex was protected by a wall with stone and access gateway. The Medina. The Alcázar is located in the northern sector standing somewhat higher than the Medina. Knowledge has been gained about this area by means of geophysical exploration and aerial photographs. It displays a very unequal use of space with a central area which is not built upon, nor landscape and building mostly confined to the westlet and east sides. To the south of the westlet sector there are some large rectangular spaces, uses uncertain, a military camp, a zoo or botanical garden. To the north there is a residential area with a small mews.